Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of the San Joaquin Delta College Board of Trustees, I want to warmly welcome you to the college and to this very, very special event. Today we dedicate the Alfred H. Mueller Studio Theater in honor of a very special man. But first I want to recognize the board members that are here with us. They're right down here in front. Claudia Moreno, Teresa Brown, Taj Khan, and Steve Castellanos. Also here is Vice President of Instruction, Assistant Superintendent Matt Wetstein, and Academic Senate President Diane Oren. And I'm sure there are other members of the staff and the faculty who are in the audience. I just can't take the time to introduce all of you, but welcome. This is a really special event. I also want to recognize the Heritage Committee. The Heritage Committee is comprised of Board Vice President Janet Rivera, Dean Charles Jennings, Management Senate President Salvador Vargas, Academic Senate President Diane Oren, Classified Senate President Deborah Hernandez, and community member Carl Tolliver, who was the superintendent at SUSD. The Heritage Committee is charged with considering all proposals here at the college for naming. When retired drama professor Barbara Crocker and her committee asked the Heritage Committee to name the studio theater after Al Mueller, they unanimously and enthusiastically agreed. As you all know, Al Mueller is a wonderful teacher, director, mentor, and an all-around great guy. Many of you here have been his colleagues or his students. He has touched your lives and made a difference in you in some way. You may not know that he was largely responsible for inspiring the design of our fabulous theater complex here at Delta, and that he advocated during this process for making a space for a small black box theater where faculty and students could experiment. So it is most appropriate that the studio theater should become the Alfred H. Mueller Studio Theater. You'll be hearing more about him and from him later in the program. So again, welcome to Delta. Have a wonderful time. Enjoy the lovely reception after the program. It's been provided by Al's family. And visit the studio theater and look at what Al's vision has wrought over the years. Come back and visit us for the many student and faculty events that are scheduled for later this year. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great time. And I'm going to turn this over to Barbara Crocker.
Good afternoon, and welcome. I'm so excited about today. In the summer of 1970, at a theater convention in Washington, D.C., I met Al Mueller, who convinced me to come to Delta College as its new costumer instead of returning to my hometown of Philadelphia. For the next 22 years, during the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, we worked together on many productions in the drama department. He sometimes referred to me as his costumier extraordinaire. I often called him Alfredo. Countless students knew and loved him as Uncle Al, Kitty's pal. He was and is an amazing person. Al retired from Delta in 1992 after a long and award-winning career, and at that time, I made the request to Delta's administration that the Studio Theater, our little theater on the 3rd floor of Locke Center, the only one of Delta's 3 theaters not to have a prominent name attached to it, be named for him. My request was not granted at that time. Fast forward 20 years to last October, when I made the proposal again to Delta's new president, Kathy Hart. She seemed receptive. And so began the process of preparing a formal presentation, first with my colleagues to Delta's Heritage Committee this past March. And after that, the committee's unanimous approval to the Board of Trustees, who enthusiastically said that the studio would be named the Alfred H. Mueller Studio Theater. Now, Al asked me the other day, "Why did you do this?" He said. He really didn't know. He said, "Why should a theater be named for him?" He wanted to know. Well, of course, his extensive career in theater and his devotion to his students would justify this. But as Kathy pointed out, there was another reason why. When the new campus was being designed and built in the 1970s, it was Al's concept that Delta should have, in addition to its 2 proscenium spaces, this Atherton Auditorium and next door's Tilly Lewis Theater, that it should have a 100-seat flexible space that could be used as a drama classroom, an intimate space with its own makeup and dressing rooms and green room. For example, we could do smaller classic plays could be performed there. It was through his inspiration and perseverance that the studio exists. Although Al is known for his productions of big musicals, one of his great loves in theater is the work of playwrights like Shaw, Chekhov, Ibsen, some of whose plays Al directed in the studio. It became, and still is today, everyone's favorite space in which to direct and perform. The UOP Drama Department has a studio theater named for its most prominent professor emeritus, DeMarcus Brown, who, by the way, was Al's mentor in college. So it seemed very right and proper that Delta's studio be named for our most prominent professor. I am thrilled to introduce our honoree. Please welcome Al Mueller.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, President Hart, for your gracious welcome, the hospitality of Delta College, and for your leadership role in making this possible. My special thanks to all the Delta College staff and my family who've made this such a celebration. I'm very grateful, too, to the members of the Heritage Committee and the Delta College Board of Trustees for this significant honor. Most exciting for me, I'm happy I'm still alive to celebrate. And thank you, Barbara, for that wonderful introduction. Barbara is quite an actress, too. I have to admit that after digging through photos for the last 25 years of Delta shows that I directed and revisiting hundreds of pictures of Barbara's contributions to my productions, I'm loaded with guilt at being reminded of the thousands of costumes meticulously designed and constructed that Barbara did to satisfy my P.T. Barnum-like theatrical appetite. The historical significance of this moment for me and my immediate family, and a family of cousins, is a source of great pride and hopefully an ongoing connection to San Joaquin Delta College for generations to come. Given that context, I have some additional acknowledgments to make. The Alfred H. Mueller Studio Theater. It only makes sense that in some feeble attempt, I share this honor with literally several thousands of students who've crossed my classroom portals or crossed the stage in my 51 years of teaching and directing. I literally owe my professional career to Escalon High School, the only district around that would employ me at age 21 to teach high school kids at all grade levels. Those of us who lived at Edison High School in the 50s and 60s knew we were there in the golden age. Then Delta College was nirvana. I hope I contributed something to help make the high school and college a place that kids wanted to be. In return, the kids' generous gifts of talent, dedication, intelligence, curiosity reminded me almost daily why I always wanted to be a teacher. Also present today are many of my Stockton Civic Theater and University of Pacific friends and former students who acted in shows or worked on stage crews, faculty colleagues, Stockton College high school buddies from the class of '49, and amazingly, former students who were freshmen in my first social studies class at Edison High School in 1953 when they were 14 and I was 21. And some of them are here. For the past 61 years of our marriage, Camilla has been an incredible source of support, especially during the 15 years I was in high school when she was my resident unpaid costume designer and seamstress for more than 20 shows, in addition to taking care of most everything at home during my production countdown days. Our 5 daughters and all of the 9 grandchildren have at one time or another been involved in our shows that I've directed. In those proud moments, the depths of my fatherly and grandfatherly pride, I'm sure, far exceeded that of any other director in such an ordinary assignment. My love to our daughters and their families for everything they have done to make this day and all the days to come special. I'm thankful for a dedicated group of administrators who provided me support and encouragement during my time at Delta. They were Deans Joe Lauren, Charlie Gus, Dean McNeely, and Felice Rodoni. Division chairs Art Holton Sr., Don Bennett, Charles Jennings, and presidents Julia Bortolazzo, Joseph Blanchard, and a great fan of our theater productions, Lawrence DeRico. Theater production demands a successful collaboration between the directors, the designers, and everyone responsible for the production. I owe a large part of my production achievements to all my theater department colleagues, beginning with our first costumer, Marcia Lou McKenzie, in 1968, and scene designers Rex Heuschkel, John White, and John Delaney. In summers, Kathy Hastings and Maria Bechtold provided costume expertise. Special thanks to Jeff Wentworth, my meticulous directing colleague and a genuine theater artist. Barbara Crocker's costumes are legend, historically correct, beautifully constructed, with love, I think. Both Jeff and Barbara brought to their respective teaching and production work extensive historical research, enthusiasm, and a generously shared artistic perspective. And I must add Franklin Wilbur's name to that list. We all took great pride We all took great pride in each other's work. As you know, I directed a lot of musicals with a lot of great assistants. I owe much to Wayne Nadeau and to my son-in-law Paul Kimball and Glenn Chin, who set admirable standards in vocal and orchestral directing of the big extravaganzas, while choreographers like Judy Balco, Betty Lastly, Dorothy Percival, and Nancy Memory consistently made impressive dancers out of people who sometimes had difficulty counting to 8. In recalling faces, deeds, and hearts of my entire support team and their relationship to this day, I know I'm living a charmed life every minute, with enough tears and faith and hope to keep it all in perspective. I thank God for those gifts. In retrospect, I owe buckets of gratitude for my professional experiences in the study and practice of the art of theater. Plays by the world's greatest playwrights provided me with powerful literary lessons and insights about the ongoing journey of mankind's indomitable spirit. Being able to share those discoveries with students in class or in creating a character was a special gift of my profession and life. To my great joy, many of those experiences happened in the studio theater, where I taught and directed, honoring my journey by naming the wonderful teaching and performance space the Alfred H. Mueller Studio Theater is an unexpected and humbling tribute for today and for the future. Shakespeare said it more eloquently and simply: I can no other answer make, but thanks and thanks and ever thanks. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Niven. I'm one of Al's 5 daughters. Yes, we did grow up. And so I thought I'd start out by reintroducing you to the Mueller clan. So we're going to start with the youngest first. We're going to go kind of opposite what we normally do. So if Dominique Mueller Kimball could stand, and her family, Ashley, Alyssa, and Paul. Next is Lori Mueller Gray and her family, Russell, Fatima, Joe, Lena, Angelo, Luis, Chris, Melanie, Jalissa, Kiara, Maya, and I think Maya and Israel aren't here today, but Abigail is here with us. We have Allison Aldrich, and her family, Robert, Meredith, John, and Jonathan. My family, I'm already standing, and Jennifer, Michaela, Ezekiel, Zoe, Joshua, and Joshua's wife and daughter, Johanna and Dahlia, the baby needed to be fed, so she's on her own schedule. True to the Mueller clan. And Jessica. And then it is true, behind every special man is a very special woman. So my mom, Camilla. On behalf of the entire Mueller family, I just want to thank again President Hart, Barbara Crocker, the naming committee, Jeff Wentworth, Jim Coleman, Charlie Block, Don Bennett, the Heritage Committee, and the Board of Trustees for this tremendous honor for our dad. I also want to thank the current San Joaquin Delta College faculty, staff, and students, and the future students, and I hope that the Studio Theater brings us wonderful educational memories as they've brought to our family in the past years. I want to thank family and friends who are here joining us today. And I would like for a second, if anyone who's ever been a student of Al Mueller, if you could just stand for a second. We so appreciate all of you traveling, many of you traveling from out of town to be here with us today. You know, ever since we heard that the theater was being named the Alfred H. Mueller Studio Theater, we have been having a great time sort of reminiscing over the last 50 years with Dad and the plays that he produced and directed, but more importantly, the students that he came in contact with. And outside you'll see a number of the pictures that were put together representing each of the seasons at Delta College. And what was wonderful, there was great stories that Dad shared with us as we were going through the pictures. But what really struck us was it wasn't about the play, it was always about the people. It was always about the students and what was going on in their lives at that particular time. And something personal he remembered about the students who were in that particular show. And that's really the way it is with that. It's always been more about the people than anything else. And yet he was able to open up great potential in people who probably didn't even realize they had that potential. It's wonderful to see how many people who were touched by Dad and went on to be in the professional theatrical arena, but whether or not they went on to be professional actors, directors, choreographers, or anything else, you know, I think they were touched by Uncle Al, the kitty's pal, but in a positive way. One of our best revelations actually occurred when I was putting together the program for today. And Dad had said he wanted to write a little note to everyone in the program. And so I hope you've had a chance to read the story of Floribel and Tiny Mouse. When he sent it to me, I was really struck because it's a story that none of us in the family had ever known before. And yet it really revealed to us why he was so passionate about the people, about the students, not just about the performance. And that's because he, as a little boy, could not read. An amazing teacher unlocked the ability to read, which really changed his whole life. And that's a mission that Dad had had the entire time that he was teaching. And so it really helped us better understand him. In fact, we feel like we kind of were getting to know you all over again.
It's a very ancient saying, but a true and honest thought, that if you become a teacher, by your pupils you'll be taught. As a teacher I've been learning, you'll forgive me if I boast, but I've just become an expert on the subject I like most. Getting to know you. Getting to know you. Getting to know all about you. Getting to like you. Getting to hope you like me. Getting to know you. Putting it my way, but nicely. You're precisely my cup of tea. I seem to remember singing about tea in another show. Getting to know you, getting to feel free and easy. When I am with you, getting to know what to say. suddenly